Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Can you guys hear me? I'm in a lot of context. So if you can't hear me, let me know. I am coming this way. Good morning. Can y'all hear me? Empress, yes, he is. You say I'm breaking up. Do that sound better, y'all? Yeah, am I still breaking up? Am I still breaking up? Good morning. You guys, I'm not on here for no special reason or anything. I know I was supposed to came on here yesterday. So I thought maybe since I got, I'm not doing nothing this morning, I'll come in and see if anybody had anything they wanted to say, anything they wanted to talk about. Um, if y'all wanted to know about the rest of the prosecution's rebuttal from yesterday, or just anything y'all want to know in general. Veronica said, "Yeah, another Bill Cosby freedom." Yeah, I think so too, but I would hate for it to be that way because he's already gave them 2.5 years. So to sit any longer is just a shame. Thank you, Charles. Please, let's. Bree, you want to hear the rebuttal? Okay. Anybody else? What's going on? Did the judge say what? Um, it says, I'm sorry, Charles. I didn't know you was looking for me. I don't know if you're in my group, but I post it all the time. I'm sorry. Did the judge say why she didn't sequester the jurors? No, she didn't talk about any of that. I was waiting to hear it. I thought they were sequestered because I thought they were in a hotel all together for the next 3 days. Discussing things the jury asked for in the deliberations. Okay. Do you think it's bad they didn't come back with a vote? No. Um, I don't think that is bad. I think it was a lot, you guys, because you have to understand. Like, okay, let's just say racketeering count one, act one. There was a lot of things underneath that one count that they had to consider. So we thinking just say, oh, he's not guilty of that because it's a description of the charge. But that wasn't just the case. There was like 3 or 4 things underneath that they had to consider. Could he be guilty of this one, but not guilty of this one? Could he be guilty of this one? So it's a lot that they had to discuss. It's 14 counts. So on each one, there's something underneath. So you have the racketeering acts, you have the counts, and then so it was more than they just happened to discuss just like one thing. It was a lot. I mean, when the judge gave her instructions about each count, I want to say she started. Let me see. I think she started at about 10 o'clock yesterday morning, giving her instructions, and she didn't finish until she dismissed the jury at 1:38. So, how did the rebuttal go? Okay, so okay, 2 people asked about the rebuttal. Where's your super chat? I don't have a super chat. I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't have that. Thank you so much, Charles. Let's see. So the government had left off. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna answer some more questions before I go into that. R. Kelly won't sit for any more years like him in the superior courts. Koenig said they were sequestered. The jurors could not talk to each other until they come back to court. She did it in a different way. So okay, she probably put them in hotels to keep them in hotel rooms alone by themselves. And if they were, they talk once they get back to the courtroom on Monday. So that makes sense because if they wasn't and they was together, they could have came back with a verdict over the weekend. But it took her 3 hours. Yep, it took her 3 hours to go over every charge, every definition. I mean, not just the definitions, but the charge, and to give them their instructions and just to break down what they have to find him guilty of. And if they don't find him guilty of this one, then they find him guilty of the other. It's still a guilty as far as whatever act that is. If you don't want to find him guilty of that act, then you can't find him guilty of the underlying things. Uh, okay, hold on. Okay, guys, give me a second. He said they were allowed to go home to their families. Very important not to communicate. I wouldn't allow them to go home. Can't accept the jury at home for them. I don't think I would have allowed them to go home. I would have let them sit in the hotel so they could think about. I don't know, but it's like we all human. Not to discuss it and stuff. Okay, not to discuss it, but it's almost gonna be like if somebody, oh, sorry, if somebody mentions something, you know, you ain't gonna have no choice but to hear it. But yeah, I don't feel like they should have went home, y'all. So, um, when I said about the within the 10 years, so with the racketeering acts, they have to, in order to find him guilty, or if, in order for him to be found guilty overall, he has to be found guilty of at least two of the charges. So he has to be found guilty of either the Faith and the Azriel, or the Azriel and the Sonia, or the Sonia and the Stephanie, or the bribery charge. So they had to convict him of at least two of those in order for him to be found guilty. Those two acts have to be within a certain time frame. They have to be done within a certain time frame. So that means if he committed one act that you find him guilty for in 90, and then he committed the next act in 2010, that's not within the 10 years. He would have to have done the first one in 90, and then the last one, the second one in 2000. They haven't proved none of the charges. No, I agree. I totally agree with you, Riri. Okay, so if you guys want to hear what the rebuttal is, the government came back and they started out with Sonia again, and she talked about the defense having no evidence to prove. The defense said that they had no evidence to prove that Sonia was locked in a room. So she says that's not accurate because she testified that she was. So that right there, she's saying because Sonia said that she was locked in that room, that was evidence to show that there was locked doors. She also said that Nick Williams testified about locked doors. But when Nick Williams testified, I don't know if you guys remember, they asked him about the layout of it and if there was ever locked doors. I mean, locks on the outside of doors. And he said, yeah, people like Tom Arnold, he had an office. So there was a lock on the outside of his door. I mean, I think that's kind of common sense. Or the accountants or whatever, they probably had offices and they had locks on the outside of their door. So the prosecution was saying that Sonia testified that she was in a room that was similar to an office and it was locked from the outside. So I guess they're trying to say one of the rooms she was locked in probably belonged to Tom Arnold or something like that. So there were locked doors in this studio, so it's possible for her to be locked in. Um, she did say that. She said that she thought that maybe the door was just a little heavy or something, but then she said she went back. She went back and I had to block somebody, y'all. I'm sorry. They keep talking about hide your kids and hide your wife. Um, she did testify. She said that at first that's what she thought. It may have been a little heavy, but when she went back to try it again, she said no, it was indeed locked. I figured maybe they looking at the floor plan to see if these girls were in such rooms, how close was those doors to the front door? So if it's close to the front door, maybe they looking at it like, well, they did say that at times they left out of that room or they went somewhere else. So is that would it would have been easy enough for them to shoot to the front door? You know, maybe that's the reason why they. That was the first thing they had in mind. Maybe they want to see how close it was to the front door, and if they wanted to escape, were they able to escape? If they was really kidnapped or locked in. But that wasn't the case because nobody tried to leave the rooms once they got in the rooms. They stayed. It says, okay, so Rob said he did not do none of these things. So do they believe him? Please say no, Sheila. Shelly, I can't say what they believe. I don't know. I can only just tell you what I think. If I thought that they said something that, proved something, I would be honest and say that. But I don't see anything that says he's guilty. Let me see. But the fact that she had a phone should do all that shit. Yeah, so what they did was how they how they tried to trick the jury was by saying, yes, she had a phone, but they said that the phone was rigged and that she was only allowed to dial certain numbers. Why even bother giving her a phone if you're gonna rig it? And then the phone numbers that they left in the phone, how do the people that supposedly rigged it know that these are people that's gonna reach out and call the police for her if she called them and said she was in trouble? How would they know that? So the chances of the phone being rigged is just a bald-faced lie. And I'm hoping the judge mentioned a lot in her instructions that you have to use your common sense with this case. You have to use a lot of your common sense. Use um, use situations where you have been in these or seen a situation like this before, and what would you have done? What would you have said? Who would you have called? So she instructed them definitely to use your common sense because this is what this is. It's a common sense case. And it's funny because Rob kept saying it, just use your common sense. And that's what this case is, common sense. Yes, Miss Cece, Sonia testified to that. Okay, let me see. Did I miss any? Okay, when the judge was explaining, was she kind of leading the jury? No. Um, she wasn't leading the jury in any type of way. Some of the stuff I think she was saying was kind of it was just general stuff that they probably say that after every um during every jury trial. These are basic instructions for the jury. Those don't change. Leading the jury anyway. No, I don't think that she was. The only thing I'm gonna say that I didn't like, Yannick, his closing argument, he mentioned something about pay attention to the fact that the government had to meet with these people for hours and days. They spent 30, 40 hours with some of these witnesses. So he was kind of implying that the truth, what he said, the truth don't need no practice. So he was kind of implying that maybe the government was leading their witnesses. So the judge came back and she did speak on, and the government had asked her to make sure, she mentioned that in her instructions to the jury, that it's part of the prosecution's job to spend time with their witnesses and to go over statements that's not out of the ordinary. That's nothing new. All of them do that, but she did not say that all of the time, you spending this significant amount of hours with them. She said they do have to prep and prepare their witnesses and things like that, but it's still the amount of time they got to look at. They shouldn't have needed that much time. Okay, I'm still lost on how she thinks she was tampered with. Yeah, me too. It's been over 20 years, and she didn't. She didn't speak out again until actually Surviving R. Kelly came out. So, Dottie, do you think the jury have to go through all the count? They do. They absolutely, yep. They have to go through every last count. So why she came for an interview on midnight? Yeah, you guys, in my honest opinion, that's the last one we have to worry about. Sonya is a non-factor, if you ask me. Hey, cuz, what's up? She a non-factor. Just everything about her testimony just didn't sit right. I wouldn't even waste my time even concerned about her testimony. I think that's why they asked for her the transcripts of her testimony, so they can show her inconsistencies in that. And the judge spoke about the inconsistencies too. The judge mentioned that if there were inconsistencies, then they have the option to actually impeach testimony that was given. So if they feel that a person got on that stand and they just blatantly lied, or if they feel that the person on the stand was inconsistent, they have the right to impeach that part of the testimony. So if you don't have, they did. They asked about Azriel's letter. Did the government send any exhibits? Or did the defense send any exhibits? So the defense, Latoya, they used based the exhibits that the government did. They may have added a few, but the majority of the exhibits that they used was from the government. And it was basically because, you can look at it again, it's back to using your common sense, because you can look at their exhibits and take it one way, or you can look at those exhibits and you can take it another way. So that's why it was, like I've been saying for the longest, the government kind of made the defense case. So what do you think? Jury asking for Juliana's brother. They don't believe her. Okay, so during the rebuttal with the government, they talked about her letter. And they told the jury to actually look at the letter, because on the letter they said if this was a regular letter, when she had printed her name and when she had signed it, and they was trying to say that's not normal, that's not normal, look at that letter. So I don't know if the jury actually asked for that letter to just pay attention to that one fact that the government instructed them to, or if they was actually looking at it to compare how she wrote, or how her text messages was and how her other letters were compared to this particular letter. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna go back up because there was some others. I don't want to miss nobody's questions. Was Rob there during that part, and how did he look? Nisha, yes, Rob was there. I actually, because everybody keep asking me that, so I said I'm gonna make it my business to write down like certain things that he did for you guys, so you can kind of get a feel on how it was in the courtroom. So I know y'all probably seen the pictures or the drawings that the sketch artist did. So like so at the majority of the time, he kept his head down. So he looked up a couple of times. Let me see. I wrote down during certain testimony at certain points where someone might have gotten his attention or something. But like when the prosecution was doing their rebuttal, and when the judge was giving a description of all the charges, and because she basically just reread the indictments too. So when she was doing that, he kept his head down the majority of the time. Okay, let me see. How many is it, Valerie? How many is what? Did the defense send? Okay, that's what? So why she come for an interview? Okay. Um, Okay, so I hope you need to realize how she wrote when he was already locked up. Did she write that letter when he was locked up? That's the only thing I don't know because I don't know if there was a date on that letter. So that's crucial. She wrote that letter when he was locked up. Also, how she ended it saying thanks and not I love you, especially it's her brother. They haven't seen each other for a while. And her and her brother are close. Penelope, yeah, that's out. Man, if it was, then that's crucial. I mean, there goes Azriel. Well, I'm sorry, there goes the Jane because they didn't give us a date in court. Did she sign about it to her brother? Well, she did. She signed it, and they said that she printed her name and then she signed it underneath. Okay, so the jurors have a healthy dose of discretion. That can be a good thing that they can use in their common sense. Right. And again, the judge told them they have to act on common sense. Express a certain amount of hearsay is admissible in court. It just has to follow the hearsay rules. Has to fall underneath the rules that allow. Correct. So it can't be third party hearsay. So if I said something to you and you are testifying about what I said to you, that's a type of hearsay and that can be used in court. But if I said something to you about what somebody else has said, that's third party hearsay. That's not admissible. Uh, no, get rid of the man who wants to. Hold on, I'm blocking people, y'all. I'm sorry. As much as Rob was in the studio working with those who had left, if they wanted to, he was barely around. Y'all don't even understand. Everybody could have left. People could have. They didn't want to leave. And you know, it's to each his own. Just because we don't necessarily write a letter and then print sign our name, we don't know what she do. She doing a whole lot that a lot of us wouldn't do. So to do something like that, who am I to say that that ain't something that she just does? Show me a letter that she wrote now that she don't do that. You know, that's just crazy. Okay, hold on. I think, LaShawna, I think, wasn't I supposed to give you one already? Hold on. Hold on. Uh, nope. Okay, I can't do it from my phone. So I got to go on the computer. And when I go on the computer, if I do it, oh shit, it's not going to let me, y'all ain't going to be able to hear me. It's going to be an echo. Okay. It's reasonable doubt because you keep questioning. That's reasonable doubt. Yeah. Yeah. And she said, if there's any reasonable doubt, let me give y'all some what the judge said. If there's any reasonable doubt, you cannot come back with a guilty verdict. So that might help rest some people that's just feeling that's like having anxiety attacks and things like that. She stressed that if there's reasonable doubt, you cannot come back with a guilty verdict. Um, Let me see, what else did she say? She mentioned that the government nor the defense has to call witnesses, even if they were there around the time of certain incidences, because there could be several reasons why they didn't call them for it. So that doesn't mean that it did or that it didn't happen because they didn't call certain witnesses. Let me see. She talked about discrediting their testimony. If you, like I said, she said if you feel they purposely lied, that is important. That's a reason because now If you feel they purposely lied about something, then that brings into question their accountability. So at that point, that will be reasons for you to discredit their testimony. Hey, Glenda, welcome. Oh, you should put the link to the video in the chat, Glenda. There are no witnesses of him abusing people. Hey, little Rico. Um, there it is. Yeah, because there is reasonable doubt throughout the. Yep. So that should help put some ease on some people's mind. You know, if there's any. Let me see what else did she say. Um, She told them, the defendant decided not to testify, so you can't think that he's guilty or come to a conclusion or draw interest in him because he did not testify. Um, Impeachment, if you found the witness made great inconsistencies, you can use this to impeach that part of their statement. Nisha, no, I don't feel Joy needed to come and speak. I feel it says a lot because Joy's name was mentioned, Dominique's name was mentioned, and Juice's name was mentioned from start to finish. I mean, they talked about them so much. Yet those are the three people that they did not have come and testify. Now, I know, understand what the judge instructions was, but in our eyes, that says a lot. If they did all of this and they did all of that and they were being abused, why haven't they came forward? So I think that says a lot. And the jury probably gonna ask, well, where are these women? Um, I said it and I'm gonna keep saying it. If you want to say that this man has been doing this for 3 decades, and in 3 decades, we all know how many shows Rob did, countless. I would expect for there to be women around the corner, and there's some. If he was this type of person, this behavior they saying that they have, you don't stop and start. It continues and it keeps going until that person is caught. To say that he has a shut off switch or something is, well, they're not saying it, but to bring in 5 or 6 girls, you saying that he has a shut off switch. That don't seem right. The chances of him having 5, 6, 7, 8 girls that be willing to set him up and lie on him is greater than them saying that, he, or whatever they want to call it. Because technically, you can't be a pedophile unless you messing with somebody under the age of 12. So I can't even say that. But I would be looking for a line of women when they went into that storage and they found stuff from '99 and it was in a safe. I would be thinking that it would be full of different women's stuff. So that they wouldn't have to just mention Jews. They wouldn't have to just mention Dominique and Joy. They could have been mentioning all these other women in their stories, but they couldn't do that. Uh, they brought 45 witnesses. No, but it's not 45. Yeah, the 45 witnesses is engineers, it was assistants, it was more people that hadn't slept with Rob than it was that had slept with him. So let's just say that. They brought in experts. I don't know how many Homeland Security people and stuff that they had testify. It was a ton of people that was not accusers. Let me see. Did I miss something? Okay, first and foremost, everybody receives it either by parents or at school. Why is only one party being held accountable for allegedly spreading STDs? You know what, Ella? So that is a good question. I'm gonna pin that one because you know what? We're gonna take Jane. If you had sex with him and you say in April of 2015, you were tested April, May, June, July. 4 months later, and you came back with a positive test and you had an STD, but yet you continue to sleep. And under their testimony, they said, well, Alex, he said that he slept with you unprotected. You was spreading the STD. So exactly, why aren't they being charged? That makes absolutely no sense. And that's a very good point. They all lied, and what R. Kelly attorneys caught them all in the government not guilty. Exactly. Was the defense able to use People versus Hernandez for the mistake of age? I thought that the defense asked this for the jury instructions. I don't know if the defense brought any uh uh any court cases in to cite their defense. I know the judge had asked for one for the when they wanted to change the language, but I don't know if they actually got that to him because the language change was admitted. Let me see. It seems as though they did not want to testify for the prosecutor. Those three didn't show up. And that speaks a lot. That says a lot. That speaks volumes. I think I'm sorry, Jane's testimony should be discredited too because, the judge said there was too many inconsistencies and that's why she allowed precedents to be played the first time they played it in court. Only reason why Jane was on the stand, she was mad because she couldn't see him on his birthday. It was over. It was over. Everything had stopped for her. So life as it was, what had ended. So yeah, she was mad. They say they were being hit, but in all these years, no. This is the thing. So you have to look at one person's testimony, and then if everybody's going through the same exact thing, then look at their testimonies. Jane had said that she was beat with a size 12 Air Force One. No one else has testified that he hit them with anything. But then she also said he only hit us with an open closed hand. He spanked them. So when did that switch up? And another thing, most of the times, like Jane said, Juice was there 100% of the time to see everything that was going on. Why not bring Juice to back her statement up, to collaborate her statement? Maybe she couldn't. That's why Juice wasn't there. Sorry, y'all, still blocking people. The judge instructed the jury that if they thought that it was too many inconsistencies or that that person was just outright lying to impeach the statements. Yes. Yeah. No, Miss Cece, the attorney did not get Bubba's statement in, and that's why the judge had a fit with Kennick that day because Kennick mentioned Bubba and Geronda being lovers, and she went in on him. She said she told him that that was not admissible, but he said it anyway. Uh, Let me see. Did I block you? I didn't block you, Nisha. Do you think the judge was fair? Uh, I said it before. I think it's like having kid. I think she held their hand a little bit more. But I think she did that probably because she's worked with Kenny and she knows what he's capable of. So, but then at the same time, she was a former prosecutor and stuff too. So she gonna lean more to that side because she understands what they have to do. So that old prosecutor probably came out at her a couple of times. Yeah. What about Illinois and Chicago? So he does not have a bond in federal court in Chicago. He has a bond in state court. So what they would have to do immediately, if he gets once this is over with, and it's not guilty, then they will have to go and draw up a motion for a bond then. So that hopefully by the time, because what they'll do is they have to arrange for his, he won't leave out of that courtroom. Yeah. So they take him back to the jail, probably get him ready because he's done with New York. Then they would get him transferred. The marshals will still have to take him back to Chicago because he's still in custody in Chicago. So hopefully they'll have the motion and stuff in, and the judge will be able to hear it right away. Then if they get him a bond, he can post his bond. Once his bond is posted, then, okay. Did they ever bring the officers in to testify? No, they didn't bring the officers in that did the wellness checks. The only officers that testified was the officers that was involved investigating this particular case. The Illinois case have had some type of witnesses. Oh, that wasn't for me. What is R. Kelly on trial for in Chicago? His charges in Chicago is obstruction of justice, child pornography. Um, it's a shorter list than what New York was. So let me get those charges for you so I can say exactly. That's what I wonder. Even if he is fully acquitted, R. Kelly has a long road ahead. There is still the Illinois federal, Illinois state, and then Minnesota. He could be acquitted only to be locked back up in Chicago. So um, he won't be locked back up. Well, if they put in a motion for a bond and the bond is granted, then he won't be locked up back in Chicago. If he doesn't get a bond, yeah, he'll be back at MCC downtown Chicago. I don't know if Minnesota would extradite because that charge in Minnesota is just a prostitution charge. I don't even know a bail on that, what, $200 or something. So I don't know if they'll see that it's even worth trying to come and extradite him back there on that because that's still kind of like an open warrant. Hey, I ride solo. How you doing? Yeah, I agree. Candy does need to come to Chicago. Yeah, I'm sure he own it to turn it in. I'm sure he waiting on that verdict, just like we are. And he probably already got the paperwork drawn up, just waiting for them to file it. Oh, thank you, loving Mr. Kelly. Thank you. Question: who was the chick that was hiding under? Everybody keep asking. I heard of that. And I can't remember. Ooh, if I'm not mistaken, I think that was in Alexis's testimony. She testified about that. I don't remember. I don't remember. So does he have to be found not guilty on every count? If he found guilty on other counts, then okay. So to leave that courtroom and come home, yes. If you found guilty on one but not the other, um, two not the other, then yeah, he can get some time. I just don't know what the sentencing is. And the judge had told a jury to not worry with the sentences. That's not their concern. That's her job and her job only. I wonder how he did hear about Ken. Ken is a good lawyer, but the other lawyers have beaten the bed several times, and that's hard to do. Uh, I think his peoples found Kenny. I think his family did that. Thank you, Henny. So does he have to be dead? I'm gonna look it up. Did I miss any questions? Let's say scenario of the spankings chastised really seemed like an indirect way to describe the abuse, but I thought abuse is abuse. So where with that chastising, I think Jane, when she was on the stand, she kind of messed that up for me because she referred to chastisement as beatings. But then she said at some point she told him that she wasn't going to be chastised and she was not going to get the spankings. So if chastising means spankings, why did you have to let him know you weren't going to get one or the other? So those are the things that the jury may be calling why they want the transcripts of this, because it was little inconsistencies like that. Remember, you guys, I said it's the small things that they lied about that makes their whole testimony questionable. And then when I said it was lying about small things, it we don't he didn't celebrate the holidays, but then turn around and say, oh no, he I said he delayed. She literally said, no, I didn't say that. I said he delayed them, but we all heard her say that he didn't celebrate the holidays. And then she went on to admit he gave them $10,000 apiece and bought them everything they wanted and gave them the $10,000 for them to shop for each other. But that was something that had the defense not come back and ask her, she would have tried to leave the jury there sold on he didn't celebrate holidays. So a little small lie like that, hurts her credibility. Because of what the jury asked to see, do you think they're trying to validate? Yeah, I think they want to go back over to when I think they're comparing the testimony. They're comparing it what and this is exactly what you guys, this is exactly what the defense and the prosecution asked them to do. If you look at the transcripts, look at the transcript. If you cannot remember that testimony or if your notes differ from someone else's, ask for the transcripts so you can compare what she was under the government um, questioning. Like Kennick said, they was fluent. But when Kennick cross-examined, they started getting choked up and they no longer wanted to answer questions. I don't recall. I don't remember. I didn't say that. Can you repeat the question? One person told the judge, he's not faith. He's not asking the questions right. And the judge had to tell her, he's absolutely asking the questions right. So you need to answer them. I can't tell you how many times the judge had to instruct Faith to answer the questions. And then when she did, she was being a smartass about it. Okay. Okay. She stopped with the yes or no. It became okay. Okay. So they whole character and some of the attitude and stuff was showing up in the courtroom. I'm sure the jury paid attention to all of that. You got this much, you do this feisty and stuff, but you couldn't be this feisty with this man when you want to claim he choked you. And so also, you guys, that's another one of Rob's charges, the forced labor with Faith. That's regarding. Remember when she told the incident? She came to Chicago and she walked into the studio and she asked him. She mentioned something about why he keep his Christmas trees up all year. And he told her to be quiet and took her into a room, and then he grabbed her by the back of her neck and forced her to give him head. That's one of the forced labor charges. You know what? I don't know why, Rena, it's so hard for people to find that group. I'm gonna have to make it. I think it is private. I'm gonna have to make it public. I'm sorry. I don't know why that group is so hard to find. Let me put the name of it in here again. So when y'all search it, you gotta search it just like that. Yeah, in the group, I just kind of post stuff. I don't really do any lives or anything anymore because it's always something going wrong with them. What about that fool that object on the stand? Exactly, that's Alex. So Alex is him, and Lewis is Richard Erline. Um, hey Val, hold on, let me see if I missed any questions. So the jury read statements that they gave the government. They read the transcripts. Yeah, and but they have all the statements. They have every single bit of evidence. They have the recordings. I do know if they want to listen to the audio recordings or anything, they do have to come back into the courtroom and hear it there. But they have access to everything. Um, what are the stipulations the jury asked for? The stipulations was probably just extra evidence that was made admissible. I don't know exactly. Let me see if I can pull up which ones it was. Because all I knew they asked for was the floor plan. What's that? Sonia's her transcripts. Let me see. There was. Thank you guys. Lady Earth, which link? Bree, what withhold which evidence? So what exactly was on the recording? So on the recording, the audio only was I forgot who they said they were gonna refer to this girl. Well, they didn't release her name, but it was basically she had stole a Rolex watch from him. So he was basically yelling at her about the watch. I wasn't able to hear it. I heard the beginning, maybe 2, 3 seconds, and I know he cursed, but he wasn't like snapping like loud and all of that. But he was, basically going in on her for stealing a watch from him. At the end of the video, I guess the engineers had said, because there were other people in the room, so it wasn't just him. The engineers had said something like, because I don't think he got the watch back, because they said that if it was them, they would have strip searched her. Um, oh, I didn't put up a link. I just put in the name. You gotta just type the name. I can't. I won't be able to because I'm on my phone now, so I can't give you the link. Unless Brie, can you go in and do that for me? So no, they so some of the letters they gave them whatever they had, and if they needed as they got to that point, then they just have to request. We need this. We need that. Can we see this again? Um, things like that. So like if they come back and say, well, we want to see the tape again, they're gonna request that. They're gonna send a note to the judge, letting the judge know what they want because at this point, that's the only person that they can communicate with is the judge. Is there anything in Sonia's testimony? No, I said it at the beginning. Y'all just Sonia is a non-factor, a non-factor. Everybody was stealing from him. Almost everybody was stealing from him. Um, the the Richard airline, I mean Lewis and Alex, they admitted to stealing $8,000 at one time. That was by himself. So when he went back and stole with his friend, ain't no telling how much they took. She wrote the truth and said her parents pimped her, but she wanted a relationship with her brother. Yep. Do y'all need to does anybody here want to hear the letter? I wrote down the majority of what she said if y'all want to hear it. Can you repeat what you said, Daddy, about what? Okay, so if he's found not guilty in New York, the marshals will then transfer him to Chicago. He has a no bond in Chicago on his federal charges. Hopefully, as soon as he's found not guilty, Greenberg will be able to go there and put in a motion to have a hearing for bail. Hopefully that judge will give him a bail because once he gets to Chicago, then he will just have to wait to get bonded out. He's already on bond in state court, so that way he'll be out. And I said, as far as Minnesota, that's just a prostitution charge. I don't know if they would extradite because they would have to pick him up and then extradite him to Minnesota. But with this case, you never know because everybody wants some clout. But that's even easier to bond out of. Did they find the fake ID for JP? They found fake IDs, but because they found them in his storage in his safe, they were trying to insinuate that Rob made those fake IDs and stuff to cover his tracks. My question is, why not bring in her police record that she was actually arrested for possessing fake ID? The letter, let me look. Let me get back to Israel. I went straight to it, y'all. Look at that. Look at God. I went straight to the letters. She wrote a letter. Now, mind you, there was more than one. So she wrote a letter to her father. She wrote a letter to her mom. And even in this, you guys, she wrote a letter to Rob. So let me see. She wrote a 6th letter. That was, she said, she wrote a lot of letters to Rob, and in these letters, she was basically saying that, she wanted to be more than just his girlfriend. She wanted to be number one. And since that wasn't going to happen, that she was going to leave. Hey, everybody that's just coming in. How you guys doing? When all this started, I was thinking I would be hearing that it was 12, 13, 14. Exactly, G family. We ain't heard none of that. Okay, so what I have for as far as the letter to her brother, she says, brother, the reason I haven't texted or called, one, is I needed to take the time to think about our parents, what our parents have done to ruin my relationship. Two, I came to Florida to see you. I came to see if I can trust you because I can't trust our parents. She said that she's happy with Rob. She said, you don't have an idea of what the parents did in the beginning to blackmail, and they're doing it now. They used me to live with him and to blackmail him. She said, I was going along with it because I thought he was very interesting, but came to love him because he showed her nothing but love and respect. But the parents never changed. She said, Mommy tried to get me to sleep with him and set him up. Mommy even told me to tell him I was 18 and even told me to dress sexy to entice him. But he didn't even see me coming on to him. I told police I was 18 because parents told me to tell Robert I was 18. They told police that I was 18. She knew they were setting him up because I knew that they were setting him up because they sent me to the hotel. Brother, I'm telling you the truth. I can't make this shit up. She said Rob was not interested in me. And the more he didn't, the more, the more he didn't, the more mommy told me to push up on him and do it more. She said I felt bad, so I decided to come clean and tell Rob the truth. He didn't get mad he didn't get mad, and then I put it because they never had sex. He never showed any interest in me. They literally signed me over because the first setup didn't work. She said I was happy because she said she was happy that they did sign her over because she was getting tired of being treated like a hoe by her parents. So she was happy to be with Rob. She had grown to love him. Then Pops told them that if he didn't start sending money, they would go on social media and exploit him. They told her to bring a dildo to him. She said no because she felt uncomfortable doing it. So they started showing up at his shows, pulling out their dogs. Mom told Rob. So y'all remember? Okay, let me stop right there for 1 second. Y'all remember that one time Alice and them went to his show and they was arrested? I wonder if that's the time they went to his show because, as we all said on the stand, that they was trying to embarrass him with them dildos and stuff. And I wonder if that's why they had got arrested when they were saying that they was actually showing up at the concert to get Jane back. I wonder if it was because of the dildos. Um, Nikki, yes, this the letter she was supposed to be made to write. Okay, well let me finish reading. I'm sorry, I didn't want to lose that thought, so I stopped. Um, Mom told Rob she didn't, she didn't care if they had sex. Just she said, Mom told Rob she didn't care if they had sex, just to let her be his driver. She continued to get threatened by mommy because um she wasn't getting neither. The mother kept asking if they were having sex at 17, and she said no. The mother got mad, so they started texting Rob directly. And she texted and said, since you fucking my daughter, you're gonna have to send me $10,000 a month. That didn't work. So they teamed up with the Savages and started digging up old stuff. They found exes, they coached them on what to say, and so that they can get book deals, reality shows, and etc. So that was what her letter. I'm gonna say it just because I gotta read it again. That was what her testimony was. I mean, that was what was in the letter that the jury had asked for yesterday. Well, yeah, see, and that's the thing, Hazel Eyes. They got to look at that too. Number one, now realistically, come on. If your child is going to so my daughter had an audition, right? And because she wants to do acting and everything, so she had an audition. I was here in New York. I literally flew all the way back home so that I could be with my daughter for that audition, even though she didn't go. But I flew all the way back home so I could take her to that audition. There's no way she's going somewhere where she's gonna be performing anything in front of any adults and I'm not there. Especially when it's something that's gonna advance her career and it's gonna take off. You gotta be there every step of the way. Who sends their daughter to a grown man's hotel and they're not there? And when they do go there, instead of going to the desk, look, I need to know what room is such and such, and my daughter is up there, and going up there yourself, you stay downstairs and you call security to go up there because it wasn't the police, it was security. And then when they go up there, they tell you to call your parents. And instead of your parents saying, I want my daughter out of that room right now, she's only 17, who's in there, what's going on? They co-sign and they leave. And she continues to do her audition. I think the jury gonna look at that like, okay, I'm a parent. That's not something that I would have done. It's possible because you guys, in order for him to be convicted of the things with Jane, as far as the sex in California, just because she was 17, it's not legal in California. However, it is legal in Chicago. They would have to prove that he really knew that she was not 18, that she was 17. How? How would he know that? Just like Geronda got into a courtroom at 15 when you're supposed to be 18 to get in there, and she fooled the police there. George Jane fooled the police at this hotel room. So if they didn't know, how should we expect Rob to know? They didn't bring up Gail King. Y'all remember one lady testified, he asked her to write the truth. That was Diana. He asked Diana to write the truth about how you feel about me. Diana is also the one who said that the only reason he made people write letters is because he was instructed to do that by his attorneys because so many people were stealing from him. All right, let's get down to it. I like that man. Let me see. They got mad. R. Kelly did. Yeah, R. Kelly didn't support them businesses. What about Sonia's testimony? Okay, Brenda, which part about her lie do you want me to go over? Yeah, everything she said on Gail King, she wasn't lying, y'all. That was her real true feelings. And that's the reason why she broke down and she cried like that, because that stuff happened to her. They really put her out like that. Remember when she first said, when she got the number, when she testified, she said when she got his number, she really had no intentions of calling it. And that's why she gave it to her mom. So everything she was saying, she didn't lie. And then if we go back, if we think about it, if I'm not mistaken, I'm not gonna say no names or anything, but somebody said that when when the Savages had actually came out and started making noise and going and doing all of these interviews and talking to the media, other people had no choice but to come out as well. So they just followed their lead. So, and that's basically what she said on the stand. The Savages started all of this. Wouldn't you not like your mom? I don't blame her. Did I say that? I was telling these people what to say for. Yep. Came across your live stream. Hey, Eric. Okay, okay. Well, I hope you stay. I hope you like it. As refers to her mom as your wife. That Kiara, that was big to me when she kept saying your wife, your wife. Yeah, that just told you that there was some animosity up in that. Yeah, I sensed that as soon as I seen that she got some type of animosity between her mom. But then look at her mother, never shows up for things like that either. She said the same thing on Gail King. She wrote in the letter. Yep. The Kenneth touched on that the victims came in with their own lawyers. He did, in the prosecution, well, the government actually spoke on that, and then in the judge's instructions, she spoke on it, and she said that there was nothing wrong, or the jury should not base any part of their decisions just because these women came in with their attorneys, because that's normal as well for them to have some type of legal representation there. So let me see. Yeah, I keep saying that Diana need her flowers now. She brought Rob to tears. So those were the two times he was brought to tears. Diana's testimony and when he heard precedents, because I'm pretty sure that was probably the first time he heard precedents the way he heard it. In the words of Johnny, okay, yep. In the words of Johnny Cocker, if they lie about the small, that's what I've been saying. If you lie about something small, then you're gonna lie about everything. Blackmail him. He he didn't say this morning. It's just funny to me the things that these parents and stuff can say about Rob now that he didn't do this and he was broken, he was this and that, but yet you allowed your child to be in a situation. If you knew he couldn't do nothing with your child to advance her career and stuff, why did she stay there? Red Bunny, I just read the letter. I'll read it again for other people that's coming in. Yeah, I need me to. I wonder is the jury going to pay attention to the parents' lack of care despite the judge saying not to? Remember, these jurors are parents first. And I think it's kind of hard. Well, they can't. So this is the thing. They have to pay attention to it because it was a lot of as Jane's testimony, and she's the one who basically put them on the spot. So when they read her transcripts, they're gonna read about that. So they have no choice. They can't ignore that part. It's on record. Probably hearing Jane break down next to her dad about Rob, telling her to pursue her dreams. Wasn't that I would have wanted them to show that video, Brie, with him being a regular person with the crown. And not only that, but she said in that video that she bought him that cake and she searched for it and she left and it was a surprise. So there you saying that you had your own money. Two, you was able to go out and about without him knowing because If he knew, then it wouldn't have been a surprise, right? So it's a lot of stuff in that one little clip that I think would have benefited a lot. I can't wait for this to all be over. He's found not guilty, so I can breathe again. Hello. How they doing him is disgusting. You are so right. Why did the parents want to work for him, but they thought he was so despicable? Well, that's not something that they're admitting to. So I wonder why they want to reread the letter. What do you think they're looking for? I think they just okay. So I think they matching it to whatever she said. Maybe they looking at precedents too. Maybe they matching it, comparing it to what she said in other letters, and how other letters sound different from the ones. Maybe they comparing it to the way the ones that they say they found in the storage, and how those were wrote and how they were wrote out sound compared to the one where if she was just talking freely to her brother, how it sounds. Diana made him cry when she said, when they asked her why did she come back, and then she said she came back because she felt that he had nothing but a bunch of snakes around him. There was no one that he can trust. She was like, Rob didn't even know his social. He didn't know how his bills were getting paid. He didn't know where his money was going. He had never been to a bank. And she came back to be a part of helping to figure things out and get him back on track. And that's why he cried. And I'm gonna keep saying it. If there was a safe in that storage, why was he hiding money in coat pockets and in shoe boxes and stuff like that in the storage? Why not just put it in the safe? Did the jury know she was going to visit him in jail? Yeah, I don't know about that. They didn't mention it in court that I heard. On the days that I was there, they didn't mention it. Since the prosecution wasted 6 hours, the defense should have played the whole last part of precedence. Yeah, but I don't think the whole thing was admitted into evidence. So I think that was part of probably why they did it. Um, I believe Jennifer right before that trial. Fell out with mom and dad right before the trial. That's why her dad said she wasn't going to be at the trial and why she spilled the beans about them on the stand. Well, to be honest with you, she didn't like Lady Earth. She didn't come out freely and just volunteer that information. She got caught up, and because there was too much documentation of what she had said last year when she first talked to the feds, so she got confronted with the things that she said before, and she had to admit to it. So it's not something that she was offering. She wasn't offering that information. Oh yeah, absolutely. She wanted to hear him say, "I want to marry you, and you're the only one." Absolutely. Anyone I think Rob will take. Oh no, no. Mm-mm. I think he will forgive her for what she did because he probably realized that she needs a lot of therapy, a lot of therapy, and I think he understands that she needs some help, and the only way he can move on with his life is if he forgives her. And so I think that's you forgive and you forget, but you don't forget. I don't, I don't think she's coming to court. Court is pretty much over. Mhm. I agree that that letter to her brother sounds much more authentic. That letter also aligns with her statement. Red Bunny, I'm gonna read that letter again for you in 1 second. I'll see if some other people come in. Um, you said, why do they call her Jane Doe? When else would the corner cause of the body that haven't been identified? Jane Doe and Jane. Dennis, they just calling her Jane Doe because they not putting a name to her. Um, that's probably I don't know why. Everybody else they allowed to use their nicknames or made up name or something, but with her they just want Jane Doe. But she's already made herself public, so I don't understand it either. Prayers up for Kels. I feel he will be set free. They all lied and used R. Kelly, took advantage of his disability. Court starts at 9:30. Well, you guys, it's not court. So basically, the jury will be back to wherever they go to do their deliberations. So they have from 9:30 to a certain time, and then if they come back with a verdict, then they'll tell them they have a verdict. If they don't, then at a certain time, probably like the same time yesterday, the judge will dismiss them and say, well, they got to come back tomorrow and start deliberations again. Brooklyn for Kels. He didn't know because he thought she was, and he said he was going to stop her, but he didn't stop her. She was never a witness. Yeah, yeah. We're living in a world you learn something new every day. This is crazy. I've never seen nothing like this. Me either. And I'm just happy to be here to witness it because then when I tell people about it, I can actually say, no, I heard it for myself and I was there. That's why I try to try to get my notes as correct as possible, as accurate as possible. So when I give it to y'all, y'all can say, look, can you explain to me why he's even in court in New York and how much time do you spend for him to get over? He's been the way the judge broke it down is because the Eastern District is part of New York, Manhattan, Staten Island, Long Island, Brooklyn. I mean, I scratch out New York, Brooklyn. So somehow one of his shows was here, and he crossed over. She's at the Manhattan Bridge into Brooklyn with Faith and with Jane Doe at one point. So that's why he's here. Let me remind you guys, racketeering acts 12, 13, and 14, that's all related to faith. And most of that is all from New York. Hey Raquel, Jane Doe. Um, Dennis Jones. Okay, so this makes no sense. Jurors going home for. Yeah, I feel the same way. I thought they was gonna be up. I heard that they was in a hotel, but I guess not. They was able to go home. Hmm. Amber, that's all. That's all, and that's it. You can't you can't do one thing and then backpedal when something negative come out about that person. You can't do that because he was okay to be with in the beginning, but now some things is coming out. Now it's a different story. But you gotta say what you say. You gotta do what you do, and you gotta move how you move to make it seem as though you wasn't okay with that because you don't want to be looked at as like a particular type of parent. But it is what it is. Um, this at the jury at home doing research. Well, that's a good way. That's another way for somebody to get a mistrial. Someone is going to double back and impeach this judge because that's foolishness. Earthstar, you are so welcome. Did did Reverend Brooks ever threaten her or anything like that for her to become a Jane Doe? I never. I don't. That's not. That wouldn't be the reason why she a Jane Doe. I don't know why they keeping her as a Jane Doe. Because her testimony is just similar to everyone's, and they're not going by Jane Doe's. Yeah, that VHS tape, an iPhone. Yeah, that means okay. Wait, hold on. Somebody asked about Sonya. The jury asked for all of Sonya. I'm still trying to figure out how she thinks she had sex and she thinks she was drugged, but she claims she was in a room. Well, that's the thing. That the last part of her testimony, she says that she can. This is why I say Sonya is a non-factor, you guys, because before she got off of that stand, she said she cannot say for certain that there was an actual sexual encounter. She's just going off of how she felt. She felt that, her. She said that her panties were removed. She felt the moisture between her legs. She thought that. Rob wasn't near her when he was in the room. She said he was in the room just doing up his pants. I don't even know what doing up your pants. Somebody tell me, what is doing up your pants? You either pulling up your pants, or you zipping up your pants, or you buttoning up your pants. Why not say that? To me, to sugarcoat around that word, around what he was doing, tells me that you're just trying to say he did it, but he didn't do it. You have ass in the shit. So saying doing up your pants when what does that mean? Makes no sense. And then not only do you, after you see him doing up his pants, you get up, run over to him and say, "Hey," that makes absolutely no sense. That's what I'm saying, Bree. If he was zipping up his pants, she should have said zipping them up, buttoning them up, pulling them up, but doing them up. She never said, "Why are my panties off?" She never said, "Why I've been locked in this room for 3 days trying to get this interview." She never said, "The food that I ate tasted like, what did I get? Where did they get that from? Where did they order it? What was in my drink?" She never said no. She said, "Hey, how you doing? What do you, oh, shoot. It says, what do you think about this letter?" They said, oh, yeah, Monet, I read the letter. I just finished. I'm going to read it again if you needed to hear it. I don't know if you heard it or not, but I'll read it again in, in 1 second. Why would why would he drug her, have sex with her, and stay in the room to be seen? I'm sure he would have dressed her and got the hell out of it. But this is the thing. If a man want to have sex with you and you've called him I'm not begging nobody for nothing. I don't know how they do, when it's their job. But if I have to call you over a month span or a week span or something, you ain't responding, I got the picture. You don't want to do the interview. It's just that simple. But if you give a man, and it's any man, the impression um, that to me, in my opinion, she wanted Rock. And I think she let him know that she wanted him for more than just the interview. I don't think she gave a damn about an interview, because if you gave a damn about an interview, it would have been on your company's expense. Um, and I think she got mad because she didn't actually see him when she was there. But why would he have to drug you if he wanted to have sex with you? Because you didn't show all the signs that probably would have been willing to give it to him freely. He has not been accused by anybody else of drugging anyone. So what makes you so special that he had to drug you? Yeah, Bree, she stopped at a gas station to change her clothes and freshen up. And she said that the defense asked her, "Didn't you to change your clothes?" And she said, "Well, I needed to freshen up." What you freshening up for? Yeah, I don't think she met, I think she went there thinking it was going to be something more than what it was, and it wasn't, because she went at a time he didn't have time to see her. She sat in that room. He probably, because remember, he got girlfriends, so he probably forgot she was in there or whatever. She set her ass in there, and he probably went on to record his music. I don't understand why these people think because you come. That's like me saying right now, it's his fault that I'm in New York. But I chose to come to New York and I chose to stay here and I chose to be here for all of this stuff. How it's being called that. I was trying to show Sylvia this morning. I was listening to "Doing It" by LL Cool J, and in that song, yeah, he talks about being called daddy, and he talks about setting up the video recorder and watching them. Y'all heard that song? If y'all didn't hear it, go listen to it. And a lot of the stuff that they talking about, Rob, he's talking about in that song, and I'm just like, it's just crazy. Last time I went to an R. Kelly show, they came asked me if we were going to go on stage, and I said, hell yeah. Wait, what we got to do? We did a red carpet scene, and that said no one bothered us was backstage or nothing, because they lying. Go right. He said, I don't know about that. But yeah, listen to that. She calling him daddy all through that song. Uh, like Lil Boosie said, don't know no similarity. Have to take no. It get through at him daily, and he said that. He said, "Look at who I am. Do you really think? Come on now." Um. Oh, did she? Who testified like that about? Oh, because of the drugs. Yeah. 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 But if I swear. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna read this letter again really quick. Usher literally has a song that say "Daddy's home." Never understood why women call a man she's sleeping with daddy. He said, "Oh, mom, wow, Terrence." I don't get it either. Where is she employed? Her boss didn't get mad. She didn't bring no pictures. No, because her boss wasn't involved with that. That's why he didn't. That's why it wasn't a trip that was on him. If that was a professional trip and that was really supposed to be an interview, it would have been conducted a totally different way. Matter of fact, I don't know how that works, so I can't touch on that. But if you had something that's supposed to be scheduled, it would have been where he would, once you got there, he would have been inclined to give you that interview because of whatever the situation was or whatever he worked out with your boss and things like that. It's very unprofessional for you to just go down there and then not have you relying on this man to pay your way, make sure you eat. What if something happened you needed a little bit extra? What was you gonna get the money for that? Um, I don't even believe the reason that she said she took her grandfather's phone instead of her own. She's talking about her phone was a cheap little phone. So what you trying to impress Rob with your phone? So you took your grandfather's. Um, she didn't need it. She can't say that that was something that she needed for the interview because she said that she took a recorder from her job. It doesn't even sound likely that he would stop in the room to leave and never come back. She probably sat and waited for days and he never got around to it. And that's exactly what it was. She went there, he never got around to giving her the interview. She got upset. That's why she would never that's the only reason why. Okay. Like her friend said, she didn't tell us nothing about what happened. She didn't tell us that she was raped or that she was this and she was drugged. Only thing she said to them when she got back was, I never want to see R. Kelly again in my life. Well, that would mean because you flew all the way down there, you took 3 days out of your time for nothing because he didn't see you, he didn't speak to you, and you ended up leaving with the same thing you came with, nothing. And that would be the reason why you would say you don't never want to see somebody again in your life because you feel like your time was wasted. Not be that's not something that you would say if you feel like you was drugged or you were raped. You're gonna confide in somebody. You was confiding in them enough to talk to them while you were there, but then when you get home, you don't want to say nothing about what happened. She just lying. Because I would think if you was calling me, telling me that you was locked in that room and this and that, you couldn't go home and they took your phone and they took all this information. As soon as you got back and I'm your friend, I'm gonna be like, girl, what happened? What did they do to you? How did you get out? What you know? Did he rape you? Did he touch you? Did he do I'm gonna ask those questions because that only makes sense. But the fact that they did not ask those questions and the only thing she said was she don't want to talk about she don't ever want to talk about him, see him or speak to him or whatever again because you didn't get that interview. You sat there for 3 days, you wasted your time. That's all that was. I never heard you can rig somebody's phone. Exactly. If they're gonna take the time to rig the phone, they took everything else she said. Why not just take the phone from her? That makes no sense. Why take the time to rig somebody's phone? And if her phone was rigged, how did she get it unrigged? When did she get it unrigged? Did she leave it like that? Did she give the rigged phone back to her grandfather like that? What happened after the fact? Why didn't they bring in any experts to testify to how you can rig a phone? Uh, I absolutely believe he coming home. Did she get a rape kit done? Absolutely not. She didn't even come out and talk about it or anything until after surviving R. Kelly. During those 3 days, she was talking to her baby daddy and other people, and nobody called the police because she was worried about them having her information. What information? It wasn't even your phone. It was your grandfather's phone that they got information out of if they got the information out of the phone. So what information did they get? How old was she? Let me see. I got all these books I have to let me go. Since we're talking about Sonya, I might as well go to her testimony, right? I think she was 21, yeah. Yeah, I think she was 21. She's I think she like Caucasian. She's not black. Okay, let me read this letter before I forget because I was just getting sidetracked again. Hold on. And excuse me, y'all, because my handwriting is so jacked up I can barely read this myself. They need her whole testimony so they can impeach it. Because she lied all through it, and like the judge said, if it's blatant lies, you can discredit her whole testimony. Jane Doe number. Oh no, I got the Jane Does in this book. Um, Jane Doe number 2 is somebody from 1999. She was 16 years old. Um, that's how easy I can. Well, whoever number 2 was, she was not admitted, so she wasn't one of the Jane Does that we're talking about now. Why was why? Oh, why wasn't his wife on the stand? Um, exactly, because her testimony probably wasn't credible. So people didn't call certain people because they wouldn't have been credible witnesses. Y'all remember Lisa Van Allen was supposed to be a part of this case too. She was one of the first ones. She was supposed to testify, but it's public record that they dropped her from the case because she wasn't a credible witness. Okay, y'all, let me read this is the letter to her brother. She says, Brother, the reason I haven't talked, the reason I haven't texted or called is one, I had to take the time to think about our parents, what our parents have done to ruin my relationship. Two, I came to Florida to see if I could trust you because I can't trust our parents. I'm happy with Rob. You don't have an idea of what the parents did in the beginning to blackmail, and they're doing that now. They used me to live with him and blackmail. I was going along with it because I thought he was interesting, but came to love him because he showed me nothing but love and respect. But our parents never changed. Mommy tried to get me to sleep with him and set him up. Mommy even told me to tell him I was 18. Even told me to dress sexy to entice him, but he didn't even realize I was coming on. He didn't even know I was coming on to me, coming on to him. I told police I was 18 because parents told me to tell Rob I was 18. They told the police I was 18. She knew that they was I'm speaking, okay. She knew that they were setting him up because they had sent her to that hotel. Brother, I'm telling you the truth. Can't make this up. She says, Brother, I'm telling you the truth. I can't make this shit up. Rob was not interested in me. And the more he wasn't, the more and more I was told to push up on him and do it more. I felt bad, so I decided to come clean and tell Rob the truth. He didn't even get mad. And I had put because they wasn't having sex. He never showed any interest in me. That's back to her letter. They literally signed me over because the first setup just didn't work. She said I was happy because I was tired of being treated like a hoe by our parents. So she was happy to be with Rob. She had grown to love him. Then Pops told told them told him that if he didn't start sending money, they would go on social media and exploit him. They told her to bring a dildo to him. She said no, she wasn't comfortable doing that. So they started showing up at his shows, pulling out dildos. Mom told Rob if he didn't, if she didn't care if they hadn't had sex. If they had sex, just let her be his driver. She continued to get threatened by her mother because she was getting, I didn't put right there. Mother kept asking if they were having sex at 17. She said no. Mother would get mad, so they started texting Rob, saying, since you fucking my daughter, you need to send $10,000 to this account every month. They didn't work. That didn't work, so they teamed up with the Savages and started digging up old stuff about his old case. They found exes and coached them on what to say so that they can get book deals, reality shows, and etc. Thank you, Terrence. This, thank you. I really appreciate. That's what I'm hoping people help when people leave this group, or this is what they take from the group. That this is something that they can educate people on. What we talk about here, because it's a lot. It's a lot. Like how they I feel like some of these laws they made up as they went when it came to charging Rob with this stuff because they had to get him on stuff that just made almost no sense. Like the thing with the VHS tape, that film. Who would know that that's illegal? They tried to make it so that it was extremely hard for him to defend himself. But as a judge instructed, you have to use a lot of common sense here. I'm taking that as y'all seeing that one way, but I'm taking it as they whatever you hearing from here, you can go back and tell the next person. Did y'all see the video with the young man that was out there? He said Rob is a what did he say? I think he walked past and called him a rapist, but he had a whole different. Okay, let me delete him. Y'all say he a troll. I must have missed something. I'm gonna delete him. Hold on. Hold on, y'all. I'm trying to. Okay, here we go. Okay, he's blocked, y'all. So this is the thing. Everybody's not going to be a supporter of R. Kelly. You know, a lot of people are going. They're not going to want to do their research. They're not going to want to do their homework the way we do it. So they're going to have this biased opinion on him because 9 times out of 10, somebody that they know and love has been through some things. And instead of seeking their justice within the person that harmed them, they're going to feel like they're getting their justice through locking up R. Kelly. Why should he be responsible for what millions of men and women are out here doing? How can you feel like you got justice just because someone else is going to jail or being accused of something that's similar to what your loved one or you yourself went through? That's not right. And I try to keep the group open so other people that have that negativity that they can come in and they can hear things and it starts to open their mind and then they can realize, okay, you know what, maybe he's not. And then once you turn one person that believed, oh, he was guilty, once you turn and you change their mind, then when they talk to somebody that we don't reach, because most people that don't believe he's innocent are going to come to this channel. So that one particular person is going to go back with this knowledge and they may change the mind of someone else. It's a domino effect. We got to just keep it going. So I don't want to have a YouTube channel where I just have strictly R. Kelly supporters in here. I want somebody to come in here and challenge my reasons. And y'all should welcome that too. When you do it, just don't be ignorant with them. Just speak nothing but facts because you can't dispute the facts. Like somebody tell me something that happened with Jane Doe, I'm just gonna tell them exactly what she said under oath or on video or in this or in that, and I want them to dispute that. If someone tells me something that whoever else said, I'm just gonna come with what I know, what's facts, what was said, and if you still feel the same way at the end of the day, well, then that's you. No respect loss or whatever. You just feel one way. I'm just gonna, agree to disagree. But hopefully that won't be the situation. Hopefully that person will be like, you know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe it didn't happen like that. Yeah, you have to be. Everybody not gonna just like I don't like pop. There's a lot of people out here that like pop, but I'm not gonna sit up here and talk about that. But oh, you like pop, but you're gonna have this. No, to each his own. That's what you like. This is what I like. But if you ask me why I don't like pop, I'm gonna give you my reasons, my factual reasons, and then maybe you'll say, you know what, I never knew that. Okay, I ain't gonna drink pop either. Well, yeah, they half of them, like I said, Dolores, half of the people that feel that he's guilty is just simply because of something they may have went through. And when that young man said that, and I came back with, I've been through the same things your mother and your sister or whoever went through, and I'm still saying he's not guilty. I go and I educate myself and I sit in that courtroom and I listen to the facts, and I'm coming out still saying he's not guilty. Just because, so So just because your sister went through it, you gonna condemn this man? He should pay for whatever your sister or your mother went through? How is that fair? And then when I asked him, has he ever been accused of doing something that he didn't do? When he said no, well, we all knew that was BS. But she's just one of them type of people. But still, at the end of that conversation, he had a different attitude towards the whole situation. Yeah, that was. Let's get down to it. That was the start of the entire setup. And you know what else? I think they knew his money was a little bit dried up, was drying up, and he didn't have as much money as They did. So I think they thought that this was going to be the perfect time, and it came out because the victim, the situation was people wasn't getting money like they thought they was going to get money out of him. So this was the best time to put him on trial for some things like this, to where he can't adequately um, defend himself the way he needed to. They thought he was going to be stuck struggling, trying to find lawyers and this and that, and getting experts and all that. So what better time than to put him on trial for something like this, but to be right now. My problem is the victim can sit at the table with their abuser, but then diss R. Kelly. Exactly. One of the government's witnesses had testified that she was in a vulnerable state when she met Rob because she had just been a victim of sexual abuse. I guarantee she has not went after that person that actually sexually abused her and took it, because that person took it. Rob didn't take anything, but I bet you ain't go after that person to this day. I'm a hairstylist and I share this info with anyone wanted to know. I share on Facebook as well. I only have one. Yeah, and just when they ask that question, don't get offended. Don't get offended because everybody's entitled to their opinion. You just answer the question why you think he's innocent. You just give your factual information because you cannot dispute the facts. You can't dispute it. So don't give him no he say she say or something you heard. Make sure you educated yourself well enough to where you can give them some factual information, and then they can't do nothing but take it as is. All the witnesses' stories was mine and their sick parents. How can these people sleep good at night? I ask myself that same question, y'all. How can they sleep at night? But you know what? Ain't nothing good gonna come their way, because those type of people are looking at in the moment. They looking at right now. They're not thinking down the line. They're not thinking 10 years from now, 5 years from now. They're not thinking about if they go on to have families and have sons. And if they sons want to be singers and their sons is the next big thing. They're not thinking about that karma that comes around. So, I mean, it is what it is. We just gonna sit back. Patty, someone said, "What if it was my daughter?" And I said, "What if it was your son?" Exactly. 31 and 19. And as a member, you have to know that men are a target too. Exactly. That's why I said that expert that testified, she was very biased. You do not get on the stand and you keep referring to a victim as a her, and then keep referring to the abuser as a him. Just because we don't talk about it as much, or just because men don't report it, they are abused too. This right here is a form of abuse. You taking advantage of a person just because you want to come up off of that person, because you don't want to work hard to get your bag the way you get your bag. It's easier for you to sit here and verbally just discredit his character, do all of these things, put a target on his man because you rather get it the easy way. That's a form of abuse in itself, if you ask me. So you absolutely right, Nikki. J.R. Robinson, the burden of proof was on the prosecutors. Yes, he did not have to. It's all on the prosecutors um to prove what they're saying. He didn't have to. He didn't have to call nobody if he didn't want to. It's all on them to prove that they what he say he is. He taped himself in HD, and y'all still think he innocent. He taped himself in HD. So what does that mean? Okay. I don't know. Oh, thank you, Val. Appreciate you. I love y'all too. I really do. They had no tapes in the case, though. Explain that. I know what HD mean, but I'm saying just because he taped himself in HD, does that mean that he guilty? What is he guilty of? So we can't record in HD? I just wanted you to explain that a little bit more, JR. You talking about the video. Professional therapists or counselor under the code of conduct are to remain unbiased. Yeah, unless they so they were they was a witness for the prosecution. So um I don't know if she was doing that intentionally. I don't know if she just had in the back of her mind, this is a guy that's on trial for issues, some things that happen with females, and she just kind of, sometimes. So I don't know if that was the case, but I would have objected. Can we take the juror sheets and break down each one? I seen the juror sheets. You know what? That's in Red Bunny. That's actually the easiest way to do it. Let me look it up. Let me see. Let me look. That's the easiest way to break down them charges. I mean, I wrote them all down. So again, if you guys have any questions about one of the counts or one of the acts, um, let me know. I can explain it to you a little bit more. Hi, Nicole. So she didn't get the rape kit done after surviving R. Kelly. No, she didn't. I mean, but after surviving R. Kelly, that it had already been 20 some years, Tamara. So this happened a long time ago. So it's been about 20 years. So who the heck is Richard? He didn't have to come to court, and he didn't have. He gave a so those stipulations that someone was asking about before. So those stipulations is like the statements that witnesses that didn't come to court could have gave. And then instead of having them come in and testify, they gave the statements, and then the statements was entered in as evidence. Verdict sheets. Let me see if it shows. Is Sabrina on here? Sabrina is sending me if y'all send me friend request on my personal page, could y'all please just send me a inbox, let me know who you is, because it's I don't want to accept everybody that's friending me on my personal page. Let me see. The defense used to the California. Alec, I don't know. I didn't see her instruct them to do anything about that. I mean, talk about that misrepresentation law, because I don't, what the reason why they probably didn't do it is because the government was trying to say that he knew her age, that he wasn't under the impression that that she was 18, so he knew exactly what her age was. But again, like I said, they're going off of he knew her age based on that it wasn't an affidavit, but that the letter that the parents had made giving guardianship over to Val. So they're going off of that. But to my recollection, that letter was wrote in September. So okay, let's see. What is he saying? Quick question. What's the age of the youngest girl he had sex with? 17. Arthur, 17. And Arthur, you should also know, I don't know if you've been listening to it, she was 17, but he was under the impression that she was 18 because her parents and there was an encounter with the police that said that she was 18 years old. So, I mean, after the police checked your ID and confirm your age or don't say anything otherwise, there was no reason to doubt that she wasn't 18 years old. So, we're going to say 17, thought she was 18. Yeah, Alan, the trip definitely was before the letter of consent. That's why I don't understand why they even brought that up. And then, like, yeah, Avenatti said it. 90% of the stuff that's being said about R. Kelly is lies. Avenatti did say this. And yes, in Illinois, the state of age. Well, JR, just so that you know, the judge even said that not knowing the age is excusable because she directed the jury, if they believe that he thought she was actually 18 years old, they have to come back with a not guilty verdict. And that's coming from the judge. They cannot convict him on doing anything with her in California if they believe that he thought she was actually 18 years old. So your comment is actually false. Good morning, good afternoon. Thank you, Darlene, for subscribing. Appreciate you. I'm looking up the. I'm looking up the verdict sheet, so y'all wondering what I'm doing. Give me a second. Because I can't. If I find it on my phone, I'm not gonna be able to do this live. Balls and Red Bunny, is there any way you can get the verdict sheets for me? And maybe send them to my email or something so we can go over them? Kennick did not mention that he slapped her when she told the truth. He didn't mention that. Why is 17 a big deal? I knew people who went to jail at 17 charged as an adult. Exactly. Exactly. I ain't saying he a good person, but there's plenty of people in high positions who are doing way worse to underage. That there's definitely people that's in higher positions doing a whole lot of everything. Definitely. Some even went younger than that and were charged as adults. He guards my heart and soul. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I'll be back to let y'all know. All right. Yeah, but I'm not with Sylvia right now. I think she's upstairs on her live. Let me see. Okay, I know what I can do. Hold on. So for just until I get these, until I can send these. The judge should know these people are lying right there, been in jail. There are police reports on these people for so long. Yeah, but it's not. It's this not a bench trial. It's a jury trial. So we gotta, hope, we gotta hope that the jury see that. Prayer changes. The notifications. I think they adjusted my settings so that you guys can get notifications now. But if you can't, I'm at a computer, so please let me know so I can try to go in and fix that. Brenda, I blocked JR. Some people you just, you know, he wanted to come back after he said there was going to be a guilty verdict, and we just don't need that. Right? I don't mind having conversations, but you just when you try to get personal with it, then I'm not even gonna bother. Just block them. Who's Amanda? Is there Amanda? All I see is Amanda said, "That's my belief. I believe he's guilty." Okay. Why? Amanda, why do you believe he's guilty? Does anybody have any questions? While I wait on Amanda to tell me why she believes he's guilty about anything that happened in court yesterday, anything the judge said or the rebuttal the prosecution did, do they rebuttal yesterday? Bree, are you on here? Do you know why she's not getting no notifications? Darlene, I don't, you know what, I'm not entertaining any of that. If that's what they want to do, well, hey, you know, I'm just here to bring you R. Kelly. Okay, so you're saying why would God put him in this? God gives some of his toughest battles to his strongest soldiers. That's all I know. Maybe this, what he's going through, can be um, what's the word I'm looking for? Uh, when he go through this and he get through this, maybe this can be an example for the next person. Maybe this can help someone else. Maybe this can open our eyes to a lot of people don't think that when women accuse men of rape, they don't think that they think that they're telling the truth. Maybe this is just an opener for people like, to say, okay, well, not everybody is telling the truth. Maybe it's just opening the door on the industry on how high profile people can easily be targets just based on rumors and assumptions. Maybe he's going through this so that you can teach your sons. Make sure you know, because we know now that just because you have an ID, that's not enough. You got to do your research on these women when they coming around. You got to do a whole background check. We wouldn't know that if he wasn't going through this. And we see the stuff that they let slide. We wouldn't know that if you buy a tape here, you can't take it somewhere else and you can't do whatever you want to do with it. And then if somebody get mad, that you'll be sitting there in the same courtroom as a based on a VHS tape that was brought in another state. Not because you did something wrong on that video, but because you trafficked it from one state to the next state. And then somebody made an accusation about you. We wouldn't know those things. So again, God used his strongest soldiers for some of the toughest battles. The jury is not deliberating on the weekend. No, Arthur, the everything in this case is pertaining to his girlfriends, or his one particular girlfriend who was 17 at the time. And if it was, they're not charging him where he lived, they charging him in another state that he happened to, well, they say that he was at with her during a concert. And that was even proven that he wasn't even there at that time. So, uh, no 13, 14, 15 year olds. It's some of these Jane Does were accusers were in their 20s, had children. So that's the Arthur. That's the narrative the media is feeding you. So if you listen to it, they're never going to tell you anything good about him. It's all going to be bad. Everything is bad. They want you to think that because that's the narrative that they set, and the media is feeding into that. Social media is feeding into that. But again, that's why I'm delivering this, because it's not about 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds. Um, Alex said, didn't they say he was actually trying to make her a star, tried to get her in the studio, and he did send her on someone tour to see how? Yeah, he constantly tried to get her in the studio. He constantly told her to work on her music, and he said that she was lazy, and someone else said that she was lazy. She didn't want to do it. And that's a lot of the times where they talked about where she was left behind. Those are the reasons she was left behind, because she wasn't doing her schoolwork, and she wasn't practicing and working on her music the way she was supposed to. So yeah, he was definitely trying to make her a star, or give her what she needed and still let it inside of her so that she could do it on her own. But she just didn't, and she said that under oath, that she had actually was trying to break away from music. I penned that Native one. That's crazy. Instead of just saying, okay, like Red Bunny, that's crazy. Because instead of just saying, okay, maybe this ain't what I thought it was, maybe it's more to it, and just accepting that, you get mad because she didn't feed into that narrative, or she didn't tell the story how she didn't tell that lie the way she was supposed to. That's just crazy. But this just lets you know the world that we live in, the type of people we live among. They would rather see somebody down and out rather than to uplift them and help them. Yeah, they definitely did. Let me see. Uh, I'm gonna try to find something else that the judge had instructed the jury to do as far as reaching their verdict. You guys, let me see. What's happening to the Tasha K situation? Oh, I have no idea. I'm not even following any of that. Does anyone in here want to answer Sam's question about Tasha K? Did anybody have any questions? Because I'm sounding like I'm teaching a class or something. I'm sorry, y'all. There was the racketeering that I went over yesterday, but it's also the Mann Act. So anybody got any questions on what the Mann Act is that he was being charged with? Has anyone been charged, or were they all given immunity? The only ones, Demetrius was given immunity. Um, We know that Richard, he made a deal. He got that 5K plan letter or whatever. But however, she did tell us that that does not mean that he's not going to do no time or that he's going to automatically get a sentence. That's just something that can help when they go to when they go into consultation to discuss what his sentence should be. The judge will look at that letter. The courts will look at that letter, and they'll just take that into consideration and possibly reduce some of his sentence. So that's what that was for. And let me see who else had something again. I think it was really just those two that. Um, hold on, everybody, 'cause I need to make you. Hold on. Anything about the Mann Act, you guys? While I'm on this page, before I turn the page. Okay. Let's see. She instructed the jury that the indictment is just an accusation and nothing more. He pled not guilty. It's up to the government to meet the burden of proof. If the government does not do that, you have to reach a verdict of not guilty. She talked about the reasonable doubt. It's not speculation. It's not based on sympathy, but it's based on proof of convincing. That's based on all the evidence that they will quickly come to a decision. If there is reasonable doubt, you have to acquit. She says, if there is any reasonable doubt, you have to acquit. Um, she says that if you find that there isn't reasonable doubt, you you have to convict. It is not your job. That's when she started saying, do convict. That you don't have to worry about sentencing. That's her job. She testified about the different evidence. I mean, she testified. She spoke about the different evidence. Stipulations is just basically evidence that was admitted that the defense and the prosecution agreed to be added into evidence. So the Mann Acts the Mann Acts is all based on transportation. So all of those acts where they said he interstate commerce and stuff and he trafficked, those are all the Mann Acts. So as it relates, the Mann Act count number 2 is it has to do with Jane from September 2015 to October 2015. You can that act comes with the Racketeering Act 9. So let's see, can I go back to the Racketeering Act? Let me just do this first. So you got Mann Act 2. Mann Act 2 is again about Jane. It took place September 2015 to October 2015. That act is under the Racketeering Act 9. Mann Act 3, that deals with coercion or enticement. That deals with Jane. That's the Racketeering Act 9B. The Mann Act 4, again, it's still the coercion or enticement of Jane. It's related to the Racketeering Act 9C. Mann Act 5 relates to Act 9D, referring to Jane. Mann Act 6 is referring to faith, and that's dealing with the Racketeering Act 12A. Mann Act 7 is dealing with the Racketeering Act 12B, that's also faith. Mann Act 8 is dealing with the Racketeering Act 14A, faith. And then Mann Act 9 is dealing with the Racketeering Act 14B, that's also faith. So all the Mann Acts is basically transportation. And LaShonda, I'm gonna go one further. The White Slave Traffic Act. That law came about when black men were rock stars back in the days, and they came up with that act to prevent black men from actually traveling with white women. So that's how that law came about. Let's see. Comfy here. Each of us has his own good details at home with these students. Relax, capture, know they belong here. Natural individual. Yes, Faith was 19. But the thing is, the Mann Act, the transportation, is because they're saying that he actually recruited these women strictly just to bring them out to wherever he was to simply have sex with them. So that's why it's a crime. What is this? I'm not trying to hide nobody coming. What am I doing? It says, Dottie, why you don't like pop? Oh, Val, I don't. I stopped drinking pop maybe 6, 7 years ago. It'll tear you up. If I drink pop right now, any type of pop, if I have that, my stomach cramps up to the point that I can't walk. It's unbearable. It's worse than labor pains. I cannot drink pop. That's bad for you. I know when I stopped, the first week I stopped drinking pop, I lost 8 pounds. Like instantly. I lost 8 pounds from that. Thanks. I thought the lawyers could use it for a pill or something. Oh, that's not for me. Sorry. Okay, y'all talking about Tasha. Let me see. Will let her help Rob. Hey, Queen Diva. Let me see something else the judge might have said. She also spoke about circumstantial evidence, you guys. Um, I'm trying to see what's an important part. You have to be convinced beyond reasonable. Yeah, so she said you have to be convinced beyond reasonable doubt before you can convict. You have to come back with a acquittal. Um, the circumstantial evidence. So basically, what the circumstantial evidence is, if you're in a room, it's just an example. If you're in a room and there's no windows, and two people walk in and they wearing raincoats and they dripping, they got umbrellas and their umbrellas is wet, it's basically safe for you to say that it's raining outside. So it's basically like not having the actual evidence in front of you, but you have other evidence that you determine to be facts that supports something that you can't actually see. So like when it comes to the charges and circumstantial evidence, I'm trying to think of one that'll be a good way. Um, so you have to say that because of the text messages or something, you have that evidence. So you have to believe that it was R. Kelly who actually instructed these girls to be flown. I'm sorry, these women, because that's what they is. I have children, they age and older, so y'all gotta excuse me. I still refer to my kids as kids. So you have to believe based on the evidence that you do have that it was Rob that was directing that. So that would be the circumstantial evidence. Um, that husband was getting locked up for cheating across state lines. Oh, I didn't hear that. I know that you can get locked up if you're in the military and you're cheating. Um, Dottie Jane's chick has too many stories. A friend of hers dad said on video that Jane told him that she hadn't. Yeah, is that the same video with the guy with the two gentlemen that came out that said that they was friends with her as well, and the father kind of put everything on blast? Is that video? I do have a question. Could you clarify what year said she had herpes? Okay, so from this breakdown with the herpes for faith. Let me go back to what I had. I am going to explain that prayer changes, but just give me a second. I was to, um, Reno, what naughty things did they text? So I'm trying to go back to what I had wrote down about with faith in that herpes. In this book, actually. How does this immunity work? Well, it's still gonna stand because regardless of what the verdict is, they came and did whatever they were supposed to do, so they still got the immunity for it. I think that's what, like, thank you, LaShonda. Because I ain't got to go back trying to find all of that. So basically, regardless of Faith testified that she had herpes at one time that kind of fit her narrative, so that it looked like it was implied that she got it from Rob. But there was documentation that she told a detective that she received it before she met Rob. We're just gonna say that. So that was what was admitted into evidence. Let me see. Was there anything else? I'm gonna tell y'all something that the prosecution said on their rebuttal. They told us that the defense tried to repeatedly mislead us. They tried to mislead us with photos of Jane at the concert. They double backed, so they was going back. They was backpedaling with what they were saying. They said that they never said that he was only trying to grab her hand. Um, but to my recollection, they were trying to say that he was just reaching for her hand. That's why that photo was kind of cropped, and all you see is her and her hand up there. But they said that that's not what they were trying to say with that. And then they said, but anyway, how did she get to the pit area? Someone from his entourage gave her those two wristbands. Well, now that we know what we know about her mother, I'm inclined to think that maybe they gave it to her mother and her mother gave it to her. Wouldn't that make sense too? Why would the mother go back there? She's sitting there with her husband. So why not, if you already putting your daughter out there, why not give it to the daughter to go back there? But it was a reason. Jane said she didn't go because she wasn't really interested in him like that. So she said she didn't go. And her reason for going, she wasn't dressed right. You went to the whole concert the way you was dressed, but when you get selected to go back to the meet and greet, you don't feel that you dressed right to go back there and meet him. So why? That don't even make sense. These are things that they could be looking for when they're saying that they want to see the transcripts because it don't add up. I don't know if y'all knew that part about her testimony. I didn't know if nobody still wanted me to break down that I admit song. That's why I didn't. I could have been done that. Maybe I'll work on that today. Um, yeah, let me know if y'all want me to do that. But yeah, I don't know if y'all knew that was part of her testimony, and this is something that the prosecution is using in a closing argument, the rebuttal. Um, and they saying that she didn't just pop up on one of his tour dates. Someone from his entourage had gave her his number, and they had told her not to tell anyone. But that's what she said. That's just hearsay. Um, but if they did tell her that, she didn't listen anyway. She gave that phone number right to her mother. So they said they were talking about Rob's outgoing calls to Jane was 10 pages beginning April the 22nd to December the 2015. What this is the thing, it was 10 pages, but okay, nobody's disputing he was supposed to work with her. So if he's supposed to work with her, why are we so like he was texting or she was texting him or they called? Um, and then who initiated the contact? Did she initiate it and he responded back? Did he, sometimes it may look like that person is initiating the contact because if she texts on Tuesday and then he didn't respond back to Thursday, from your perspective, it's gonna look like, okay, he's initiating this call because it was on Thursday. But in actuality, he just responded to her text late from Tuesday. So to sit up here and say it's 10 pages of text messages, he was supposed to be working with her. He was supposed to be teaching her the business. That's the whole point that she left to go with him because he wanted her to get a feel for the industry, how it feels to be on tour. Nobody's ever disputed that. If the parents felt something different, why they didn't go with her? Why they just didn't show up with her? Why did she have to be with him instead of them just showing up at the concerts and letting her see it that way and then taking her back home? Why it didn't happen like that? That's the common sense stuff that I pray that the jury asks. She didn't have to be there every single night and day. Yeah, I love Dom. Dom is awesome. Correct. Sometimes I say, yeah, they can't do anything to Demetrius. Exactly, Hazel Eyes. He could have given that wristband to the mom. And then I'm still wondering how come no one asked when Faith was on the stand, she gave her reason for why she was at the concert, but why we don't have the reason under oath as to why Asriel was at that Jane was at that concert. What was the purpose of her being there? The parents signed over a guardianship. They did it on a note, they wrote it out, and then they went back and they got the actual paperwork, the affidavit, and signed her over again. So not once but twice. Okay, and so I talked about the text messages. They said the government, this is their rebuttal, you guys. They said when Jane was on the bus, it wasn't for punishment. They said that she was on punishment for not doing her schoolwork, but they said that she was in virtual school, and by the time that incident happened where she was on the bus, she was no longer, she was done with school. There was no homework to do on that bus. So they said that wasn't the reason that she was on the bus. Okay, just because school is out, don't necessarily mean that you're done. That happened, but that don't mean that she wasn't behind on something that she had to still finish in order to be able to walk at graduation. I don't I've been through this a lot, so I understand how the schools work. Even when school is out, you still have, if you behind on some work, they may give you a certain period of time, grace period, to turn in some work to have it done so that you can still walk at graduation. And I'm pretty sure that was because a lot of people understand when you're doing online schooling, sometimes that's hard to stay focused. Everybody that have kids that went through this COVID and their kids had to stay at home and do online schooling, in the beginning, it was a challenge for a lot of kids. So they were given extra time to catch up on certain things because, in actuality, some people learn better from seeing than actually being there. That online, you can get distracted easy. So I can't believe that she was still on that bus catching up on homework even after school was out. She still hadn't graduated. She didn't have a diploma yet. So she might have had to do some extra things to get that, to actually walk across that stage and get that diploma. Why is that so hard to believe? Um, what are you looking for from Jane Doe 3? I'm not looking for anything from Jane Doe 3. I think I knew I was trying to figure out who they were trying to say she actually was because um, yeah, Dr. Wright said it would have been good to bring the police in to testify about the wellness checks. I mean, but if police did wellness checks, and they left without someone in custody, then that just says enough. What do they got to testify to? There wasn't nothing that they witnessed that it was worth somebody, going to jail behind. So if they left without the person they doing a wellness check on or anybody in custody, then that just speaks for itself. Brenda, yeah, okay. So let me see what else did they say. Um, they said the defense also claimed no one saw him with the underage girl. That's not true. Cheryl met Jane when she was 17. She knew she was 17, but she still booked her flight. So why you not locking up Cheryl Mack? Do that make sense? I'm gonna say that again. Defense also, this is the government's rebuttal, you guys. Defense also claimed no one saw him with an underage girl. That's not true. Cheryl Mack met Jane at 17. She knew she was 17 because she booked her flights. So why isn't Cheryl Mack on trial? Um, and then she says, and remember what Cheryl Mack told you with what she saw in the dressing room that last show. But I also remember Cheryl Mack writing a whole manuscript about that last show and also admitting under oath that she exaggerated a lot of that manuscript. They went on to Angela. Everybody booked flights, Joycelyn. Almost everybody booked the flights. I went on to Angela. Angela also said she's seen him with underage girls. And remember, Aaliyah was 13, 14. Uh, that's Angela that said that. Do we really believe Angela? Yeah, that now, Alan, that right there, those officers that was at the Dolphin, I don't think they was the police though. I think they were security guards. If they could have testified, that would have been big. That's good. Oh, that's awesome, Val. And who said they'll share the information with Rob? That's one thing that they haven't testified to. No, hey, ain't nobody has said not once. Oh, wait a minute, this girl's 17. Let me go tell Rob. Let's see what he's saying. Da 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 da. They ain't testified to that. And the government, they wouldn't. The government didn't even ask those questions. You know why? Because it's gonna hurt their credibility if they did ask the questions, and then their testimonies will also be probably getting impeached. It was one of the accuser that was going to testify that had that panic attack is one that was supposedly going to testify that he assaulted her. Shot town, absolutely. Thank you, thank you so much. I appreciate that. 7-1 suburban girl. Um, the defense ever said the government was basically calling these women prostitutes since he was flying them out. Did the defense ever say the government was basically calling these? No, what the defense had said was one of the witnesses had said that they was hoes. And then the government had said, well, that's a term of endearment. So then Kenneth came back and said, so hoe is a term of endearment, but daddy is wrong. I don't think he said anything about the women being prostitutes. Um, oh, she was supposed to be the one that stole the Rolex? Yeah, because to my understanding, it was so much more behind that. And then there's another thing, you guys, too. The the jury is going to get to listen to the entire audios because what they played in court was snippets. It was like, let's say it was a 15-minute audio. They played the first 4 seconds of the first 20 seconds of the first 2 minutes, and then they skipped and they played the second 30 seconds of the minutes between 10 and 15 or something like that. So they gave them little snippets, but now they get to actually go in there and hear everything that was said in the beginning and how Rob dealt with it at the end, because I think it's gonna give them a different perspective on what the picture that they was trying to paint too. Every last witness. Okay, and then they also, this is still the government rebuttals. She's talking about Navarro testified that he seen Geronda at the house. He gave rides to her and he got her food. So just because his testimony saying that she was seen at the house and he gave her rides and got her some food. Well, one, now we know that Geronda wasn't starving. And then two, we know that she was at the house. We already knew that. But who she was at the house with and for is what he did not say. He testified that she was there, okay? But before she got into that predicament where she swindled her way to actually get into the house legally, she was breaking into it. So we can't forget about that. We don't know who she was in that house with. Yeah, he had to give rides. He was giving rides to everybody. It wasn't because it was just people that, that Rob's that give rides to. This could have been, his guys had friends come over, whatever. They gave him rides too. Nobody testified to that. But I'm pretty sure that's what happened with that. Because the same person that saying he seen Geronda in the house is the same person that said he also seen her climbing that fence and disappear with Dominique. Um, Hayward is the moderator of this platform an attorney. If you talk about me, no, I am not. I am not. It sounds like a setup. Yeah, I agree. Do you think the judge was leaning on guilty or not guilty verdict? Well, it's not a bench trial, it's a jury trial, so it doesn't really matter. The judge said blatantly that she's not feeling not one way or the other. So, but it's not a bench trial, so it really don't matter. I'm definitely gonna be at the Chicago trial. Like, that's home. I'll be there. I wish the defense would have shown the video. I think so. A lot of these guys, it's almost like the women in the cases, like it's almost like they like if no offense, but it's like that. If I can't have you, no one can type of thing. So I feel like there was a situation where he probably wanted to be a part of the camp or have a job within the camp, and he was denied, and just get bitter. I mean, I'm just saying how I feel. I don't know if that's true or not, so I don't know, but the actions is that's what he acted like a bitter ex girlfriend. Oh, you're welcome, Tanya. You're welcome. It's a lot of things the fan could do because of the judge. Oh, are you saying there's a lot of things the defense could not do because of the judge? I think, well, okay, so like a lot of the objections and stuff, it's not that they couldn't, it's the way they had to present it. So it's more that I can say about that, but I won't until like after this is all over with when I speak on that part. But again, just remind me later down the line. But it's a lot they could have done that would make what makes you feel like the judge might have been leaning more towards one side than the other. I don't think that was the case. I think it's just a way that when you're in a court of law, it's a way that you have to present it. And so, but when they asked the question, if there was an objection, Kanik always went back and just rephrased it a different way, and the question went through. Um, let's see, this may be off topic, but what happened to the fluffy light skinned lady? Oh, the fluffy light skinned lady that would be wiping Robert's crotch and forehead at the end. I never seen that lady. I was always in front. I never seen that lady. Who was it? What she look like? I was never privileged to be in the front row, so I never seen her. That's for the video to be played for. Uh, yeah, they're gonna listen to it, not the video, the audio. Uh, Somebody else have a question. A lot of the sidebars she did was just about scheduling. You got to think the government took up almost a whole month to present their case. In the case, it was supposed to be 4 to 6 weeks, and she didn't want, it to go over that. But they took a lot. Dominique did speak. She did, and that's probably another reason they was worried about her saying she wasn't no victim. That's why they didn't call her on that stand. I believe that too. He gonna be stronger, wiser. I definitely believe that too. All right, y'all. Let me see if there's anything, because we're going into 2 hours and 36 minutes now. Let's see. Is there anything anybody wants to know? Like, do y'all want me to come back later with something so I can start putting some things together? I just wanted to get a little bit more organized. Now I'm kind of all over the place. No, Bubba did not testify. Do you think Jane's boyfriend would have beneficial for the defense? Who's her boyfriend? Dominique already spoken. Yeah, she did. Let me see if there's something that I want it was like important for me to tell y'all that the government said. They said that Geronda breaking into that house wasn't supported by any evidence. He reported her. They talked about, and if he didn't do any of this, why does he have doctored copies of her ID? Why did he pay her $1.5 million settlement? So he's saying, they saying if he didn't sleep with Geronda, why does he have all of these things? I told y'all how I felt. For one, I'm not convinced that was to say that was put. I'm convinced that was put there. And then she says, why did he pay her a $1.5 million settlement? Well, somebody asked her, well, why was she giving it back if that's the case? If we want to believe that he guilty because he paid $1.5 million and then his signature ain't even on them settlement papers, that's number one. What should we believe about her giving it back? That it didn't happen and she fraudulently obtained that money? She told lies and stuff to get that money, and maybe somehow at one point in time for a hot second she had a conscience and she decided to give it back. And then she also testified after all of this, she still wanted to be with him, y'all. Turned around, dropped the lawsuit, wanted to be with him, couldn't get to him, picked up another lawsuit, then sued her attorneys. Yeah, she sued Susan Loggins, and Susan Loggins settled with her. So go figure. And they brought that up in court, that she got on TV and she said that she was not a victim. They definitely cross-examined her on that. And when they cross-examined her on that, it was a lot of I don't remember, I don't recall. Those were those testimonies. Those were those answers to those questions. Let me see what else it says. I can ask. I can actually ask Julius. But if you want, yeah, that'd be good. If you want to reach out to him and ask him for me, that'd be good. See if he'll come on. That'd be nice. I would definitely. Me and him can definitely sit down or Zoom or however they do it. Exactly. Because she was crazy. Let me see. Faith. Trying to see what did they say about Faith in the rebuttal. So they're saying the reason why after everything was said and done, she sent text messages to Rob's phone trying to make it seem like she wanted to get him back and she wanted him back. They're trying to say that she did that under the advice of the police department. Because they're saying when she first went to the police department, She tried to call him from there and he wouldn't answer. So they told her she needed to get a recording of him admitting to getting her STD. And for so long, she was texting and everything, and he wouldn't respond. And then eventually he did respond. And that's the recording that she had released of him. Hold on. So most of the places, Secret Sister, like the studio, not there anymore. And all of it, none of this really happened in Chicago, in New York. Thank you again so much, Prayer Changes. Thank you. Am I concerned at all with the jury not being sequestered? I think that they should have been. I think that they should have been at a hotel. Um, did anybody clarify? Because sometimes, I know they say Kennick said that they went home for the weekend. But I've been calling this hotel home. Do we know for sure that they went home? Because it just don't seem like they should. They all should have been in one hotel. But I don't know. But yeah, I think they should have been. If they not sequestered, I definitely think they should have been. The trial is so weird and unconstitutional. if you ask me. Did the judge tell them NDAs are legal? The judge didn't. I don't think the judge spoke on the NDAs. I didn't hear her speak on them, but I know Kennick said that those NDAs are legal, and he also told them that Rob would be a fool not to have these people signing these NDAs. So the racketeering, y'all, count one that all pertains to the bribery, and they said that you have to look at Demetrius Smith's whole testimony, and that tells you Rob had everything to do with the bribery. So this is the government again. They rebuttal. They're telling the jury to look at Demetrius Smith's whole testimony, and it will tell you that Rob had everything to do with the bribery. They said it's Rob who said Aaliyah was in trouble. He said, "Don't tell Barry Hankerson." It was a defendant that said he had to marry her to protect himself when Gerald McDavid. And they also said, and when Demetrius Smith tried to talk him out of it, it was Rob that told him to pick a side. And they also said the bribery is because Demetrius didn't pay the $500 for it, and the money that Daryl took didn't come out of his pocket. That came out of accounts of Rob's, and Daryl McDavid was able to do that because that was his accountant. So they're saying because of that, Rob is guilty of the bribery charge. I don't want to lose y'all, so I don't want to get too deep into anything. So, um, again, if y'all want me to come back later, if there's something that you guys want to talk about, I just want to have everything together for the next time I come on live, so it can just go real smooth. Questions, anything that we can go back to the first day of trial. I don't mind. I got all of my stuff here, and I'll answer any questions or whatever that you guys have. Yeah, that's what I don't like, that they're partially sequestered. The statute of limitations. Yeah, it's a lot of things like that. They had to charge him with certain things because, like in the state court, this wouldn't have held up. So it had to be charged federally because some of these charges. Do y'all know that the feds really don't need a lot of evidence to bring these charges? So that's the difference. The state would have had to have a lot of evidence to bring someone in on this. Okay, so I'm going to leave. If you guys, I'll check the comments and stuff regularly since I learned how to turn on the notifications for it. So if there's anything y'all want me, I'm gonna try to have an answer for y'all, be prepped for it, so I don't have to spend time searching for things or anything like that. I just I need to get something to eat. I do. If they were police arrest, they wouldn't go. Right. So they partial. Okay. Um, okay, everybody. I still need some more mods too. So if anybody willing to be a mod for me, please let me know. You diabetic, so yeah. Well, I'm sorry that you're diabetic, but I'm glad that you stopped drinking pop. I don't even. The only thing at my house and my kids, they don't even complain no more. But I don't buy juice. I don't buy pop. They have water and uh, let me see what's something. I buy organic, so apple juice is a thing. Like they have that at home. But 9 times out of 10, anytime I grocery shop, I'm never buying pop, no juices, any of that. Now, if I'm cooking a meal or something, I might get them something, something good to drink with their food. But yeah, you won't find it in my house. Everybody that come over, they gotta bring their own drinks. You digging me? Go make Sylvia eat. I listen. I got up and I'm like, I'm ready to go. We got this whole day. Let's go do something. And Sylvia is just, it's just like I think she just want to stay in the room today, you guys. It's a day. It's a day for her. She probably a little bit. She not gonna say it, but she kind of, this verdict has got everybody feeling some type of way. So I just don't want to stress on it because if you believe it's not guilty, it is what it is. There's no point in stressing over. You just gotta, you know. Um, Lady Earthby said, "I'll be mad, Dottie. I don't keep it. They need water. I get like sparkling water. They got a little sizzle, make you burp. So that's the next best thing. That's all I can tell them. That's all I'm getting. That's all I have. Uh, yes, it's taking a toll on her. I've seen it yesterday. Yeah, I'm gonna try to get her out. Y'all should, if she's still on live, y'all should go over to her live and tell her to get dressed and come downstairs. I've been sitting down here for 3 hours. She should have been dressed by now. All right. Okay, y'all. So I will come back. It's 2:20. I'll come back. Let's say about 7. So if you guys have anything that y'all need to know, any questions, anything like that, just if you got you my friend on Facebook, keep me on Facebook. However you got to do it, put it in the comments. I check the comments. Um, yeah, and then I had it ready. Um, when we. Oh, I'm Lashonda. I'm gonna give you one. I just can't do it from here. I gotta go on the computer. So I got you. Anybody else? Let me know. I should be relaxing and chilling. I just want to take advantage of being here. I don't want to relax and chill. I relax and chill when all this is over with. That's what I'm saying. When all of this is over and he out and we know, then I can relax and chill. I'm good right now. Secret sister, can you send me a put it in the comments so I have everybody I know how to I can't remember. I'm old. I swear I'm old. I don't even remember nothing. I gotta write down everything. Okay, tell her to come downstairs. Somebody tell her I said come downstairs so we can go eat. Who else said that? Oh, Lashonda. Okay, Dottie, read my last 2 messages. Okay, hold on. Let me see. Hold on, yeah. Oh, I got you. You talking about the mod? Yeah, I'm writing down your name now. I got you. I got you. I got you. All right, y'all. Okay, Native. Okay, Native One. Please do. All right, y'all. I'm gonna end this. Y'all have a good day. Be blessed. Try not to think so hard about everything. Try not to worry about the what ifs and this and that. You know, I can't stress enough. This is a case about common sense. So we like to believe everyone has, even if it's not that much, but everybody has a little small sense of common sense. So we just gonna, just pray and, you know, We're gonna see him come home. Come Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe. He'll be coming home. It's a big thing of the past. All right, y'all. Who was that mentioned Julius? Whoever that was that mentioned Julius, send me a message and let me know how that goes. Yeah, let me know how that goes. I don't know nothing about interviewing nobody on here, how that works. So I need to know so I can set it up and yeah, probably gonna need a lot of extra time for that. Who is this moderator? Sure. Okay, I got you. All right, y'all. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all day, okay? And I'll see y'all this evening. Have a good night. Well, good day. God bless.